welcome to The Treatment Forum, a podcast about the art of the pitch. This series demystifies the treatment process for commercial directors and photographers by interviewing industry pros, from agency creatives, producers, and brand strategists to established directors and treatment writers. I'm Christina Archer, your host. I'm a director, photographer, and educator. I'm fascinated by the intersection of art and commerce, how ideas traverse from the intangible to the tangible, and how culture shapes advertising and advertising shapes human behavior. This podcast was inspired by winningdirectortreatments.com, a course I created to mentor underrepresented talent. It's designed to empower directors to master their pitches and win their dream jobs. Find out more and enroll on commercialdirectingfilmschool.com. My goal is for these conversations to be a resource, fostering an open dialogue and creating transparency in our industry. Our guest today is Sarah Betts, a creative director and writer with a decade of experience working with brands like Google, Fiat, Chrysler, and Hinge. Her point of view is always through a lens of comedy. We first met on a job I did when she was at Red Antler, and most recently I bid a very satirical project with her at her current position at the Amazon Brand Innovation Lab. She delves into the do's and don'ts and the importance of the image curation within a treatment. I loved hearing her perspective. She has so many insights, and I'm really excited for you to listen. Let's dive in. Today on the Treatment Forum, I'm so excited to announce our guest here, Sarah Betts, who is creative director at the Amazon Innovation Lab. Amazon Innovation Creative Lab. Close?
Brand Innovation Lab. Very close. Very close.
Brand Innovation Lab. Apologies. Yes. We have some really great, juicy history together that maybe I'll briefly, because first, back in the day, I think we worked on a project at Red Antler that was for Thimble Insurance.
Yes.
And
yes.
That was so much fun. That was very, just like such a different way to approach an insurance campaign, and loved working with you then. And then when I moved to art class, your name came up in an Amazon project where it was called the Cheetos Duster, and we were pitching, and I just absolutely, I think, what you're working on is super cutting edge, a lot of humor, very exciting stuff. So maybe just briefly kind of share what you are working on at the Amazon Brand Innovation Lab, because people don't even know it exists.
People literally don't. They're like, what do you do? Loved working with you on Thimble. Loved, potentially working with you on the Duster, and hope to work with you again very soon. At the Brand Innovation Lab at Amazon, we actually don't work on Amazon as a brand. We work on brands that want to create these bigger full funnel campaigns across the Amazon canvas, is what we call it. So how do we bring to life a story that spans Twitch and Alexa and an Amazon storefront on .com? We have so many different touch points that people don't know about. So it's kind of, how do we create these awesome, fun experiences for brands and their customers? I love to say that I worked at creative agencies forever, including Red Antler, and we would always include at the end of our, two campaign concepts, like a slide on activations and where we could go. And it was all pie in the sky, very undoable, and no one paid attention to it because it was the last slide and we just needed to create TV spots. But we are that slide. We are the people who really create these one of a kind, fun activations and experiences. So right now I am working across our grocery clients. So that is anything you consume, food, beverages, as well as, food for your furry friends. I cover pets as well. So working on a bunch of different really fun campaigns. One's for Greenies dog food. We have a couple in the mix for a bunch of Pepsi snack brands, but it's going to be a very busy Q4. That's what it's looking like.
Yes. Channeling some good projects to come through.
Yes.
It's interesting because from an outsider's perspective, brand activations were always kind of more, illusory for me. I'm like, what, like, do I fit myself into these experiential, activations? But I feel like honestly, that's where you can be the boldest or the biggest or the weirdest, or like it's kind of expected to like make a big splash.
Yes.
And the more that I learn about like kind of that strategy, the more I feel like it's such a great opportunity to just, it makes more sense why things in that genre are just like bonkers, like unexpected. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's not traditional advertising. So it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And I mean, but like everything that we do, I mean, even the Cheetos duster, which was like a product that we created, we had to create a campaign around it with video assets and everything.
Yeah.
So also everything that we do stunt wise and experience wise, it all kind of has like a video and content capture component to it as well. So, um, and it's fun to think through ways like how can we connect the video to something in real life that, people can experience. But yeah, it's a wild, wild west too. You get to like kind of get away with more, I
Yeah,
think.
totally, totally. Amazing. Well, thanks for that great intro. I think people are going to be super interested to, I'm sure they didn't even know this whole side of things. So, but yeah, let's start getting into some of your insights about the treatment process. And where I kind of like to start is just from your background and your perspective. When you start to, work on a project, how long does it take to typically conceive a project, and then when you're ready to move into finding production partners and bidding it, what does that typically look like for you?
I mean, it really depends, right? Here we have shorter lead times. People just kind of like want to decide on something and then go for
Mhm.
it. But it's been anything from, we've been working on something for 2 months to like 8 months.
Oh,
So,
wow.
like, it could be, yeah, a friend of mine or another creative director here, he was working on this Sims project, Sims, the computer game, and
Yeah,
he was literally like trying to keep it alive for like 10 months and then was able to sell it in and then brought in a partner. But
good.
when you are, yeah, and like, so when you're stewing in the work for that long, I mean, there's just been so many conversations, and you're just kind of like, I don't know, you're a bit blind and also going crazy when it comes to bringing in a partner. And I think the biggest thing for me too, and I don't know, this is probably your next question, but like when I am bidding someone or wanting to bring in a director partner, it's like, I have blind spots. What doesn't make sense? How can you take what I've been working on for so long and like love so much and I put a lot of passion in and just like make it better? Because, you're kind of thinking through things with a clean sense or, like kind of a fresh eyes. I want those fresh eyes.
yeah. I think that even for my own, I think with any person's project, like with my own kind of short films I'm working on and I'm writing them and I've been stewing on them, like some I stew on for like a year, and then I'm finally, things come back where I realize, oh, it's a better time to make it now with these AI tools. But I agree, like the moment you need to open it up, like there's a time when it's ready to be kind of opened up to the right perspectives, and also just this awareness for like the audience listening that these campaigns have gone through so many iterations, and maybe you know uh, what is it called, tested to death, like things like that. So it's, you have to, as from an outsider coming in, there's a respect to that process that I think needs to be top of mind, and needs to be have an awareness that you've been really in it, but then hopefully kind of give it new life and give it new juice in a way that I think could
Yes.
be like help it take it to the finish line. Um,
Yes, 1000%. And it's like, okay, yes, this concept has been kind of tested and prodded and probably Frankensteined and we've had so many conversations with clients, but it's like, okay, how can we tone and kind of point of view, right? Like I might have thought that everything happened in a real life kitchen, but actually it would be really awesome to have it in this, stylized studio or like even animated. Like, I think at this point we do have, and because we've been obsessing over this, we have something in our mind. But that's not to say that that can't shift. I think the number one thing though is like, is the tone. Like, are these spots and does the reel make me laugh? Or does it leave me with something? But it's mostly just it doesn't make me laugh.
Do
Yeah.
you care, like, because I know sometimes I have these like unbranded like shorts that my reps are always like, sometimes they do use it at the end of the reel as kind of an
Yeah.
outlier because, they're longer and a lot of people don't want to watch something long and,
Yeah.
but is that something, do you like to see like personal, like passion projects that are just like,
I like seeing that. I
that's cool.
mean, it gives me a sense of, a deeper sense of what you would want to make if you were making it, making the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah. That's,
So I like that. I mean, I actually, when we were at Red Antler, there was this director, I can't remember her name, which is so horrible, but I put her up because I loved a short film that she did and it was so funny. Like even more so than her commercial work. I was like, this is hilarious. Let's
oh,
put her as
cool.
an option. So yes,
I need
definitely.
to like tell this to all my reps now. Like, listen,
I
you heard it
mean,
here first. They are
yeah.
cool.
Obviously, like you get the stuff that like makes
Yeah,
sense and
yeah.
fits the initial brief, but like yeah, I love seeing because like that is also another thing. I mean, I've worked with ECDs who have been who haven't like let directors direct. And I'm like, why do we even have a director if we're going to direct everything? So when I work with, bring someone on as a director partner, like I want them to feel like they have, part ownership of this. And also, so it's good to just see, what you like making in your free
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
in your copious amounts of free time. So
Yeah, okay, that's super helpful. So so the next steps is sort of like going into the creative calls and in a lot of ways it kind of feels like those are an opportunity to really hear from you first, like what the campaign is in case I didn't, read between the lines on paper. And also you probably have even more insight from working on this campaign for a long time. But they're also sort of like chemistry calls, I feel like.
1000%.
And
Yeah.
and I'm always curious, when you end those calls, do you and your team sort of like in your mind feel like, okay, this is the one that resonated the most. I feel really
1000%.
good about this person. Yeah.
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, obviously, like, and then we're like, oh, we're so excited to see the treatment of this person.
Yes.
Because, it's one thing to get along on a phone call, but then like see the ideas manifest on the page is very important. But yes,
Mhm.
1000%. It's chemistry. It's, do you seem like you're into this project? Like,
Yeah.
hopefully, yes. I've gotten on calls with some directors and they just seem like so bored. And I'm like, I know, but so that's something. And then a willingness to collaborate and like, yes, and each other. If that happens on the initial call too, that's like it's so wonderful. Just, kind of experiencing that creative synergy.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah. Do you
1000%. It's very important.
prefer, like, do you like it when directors ask a lot of questions? Do you like it when they're suggesting things like in real time? Like, how do you feel like you're like, oh, that feels right? Or because a lot of times I'll throw things out there that because I haven't talked to the team yet, I know like they could be totally off, but I still
Yeah.
feel like this is a safe place, right? Like I can say this even though like it could totally
Yes.
not be right, but I'm just gonna, kick the tires a little bit. Does
Yes.
that feel like appropriate to you?
I love that. Again, like, I don't know, some creatives are very precious about things and might be like, ugh, but I love that. I mean, it shows that you are interested, that you're already, thinking the wheels are turning. Like it just, to me, it's a good thing. I mean, even if you said something weird or like totally off, I'd be like, that's a weird idea, but that's funny and like, so and then
Yeah.
again, I mean, just like any gaps that you have noticed and you're like, I mean, that also can come later in the treatment as well. But tell us what we're missing. And then being solutions oriented and kind of, being like, okay, we're here. How do we go to the next stage together?
Yeah.
I think that's great. Safe space. I'm all about
Yeah.
safe.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool. And so now we're like moving into the treatment phase. People
Hmm.
are working on describing all of their thoughts, and the directors are sending it back to you. So I guess my first question is, what do you like to see, or what do you like? What to you feels like a winning treatment, or what to you feels like kind of broad strokes or micro? And maybe what are your favorite parts about the treatment process? Like, what do you like to see in it that get you kind of really excited?
I mean, it depends on the different project, right? Because some projects are filled with filled with talking, right? And
Right, right.
so um putting some thought and point of view on character development and casting. Some projects are all it's very visual and it's super art direction-y, and so it's putting together very clear thoughts on just like props and cinematography and the lighting. So I think it's also just looking at what the basis is, what we're
Yeah.
making, and then being able to
Ooh.
pull the different levers. And I mean, circling back, it's the idea of that if a director can focus on the thing that's the most important thing for that specific project, right? So if it's
Mhm.
a lot of dialogue, it's coming up with clear points of view on casting and character development and even like wardrobe, and how you would go from line to line. So
Yeah.
shots, and if it's a very visual, stylized project, then it's colors and it's coming up with, what is our perspective on lighting and cinematography. So, I mean, that to me is very helpful. I don't just want you to regurgitate what we created. Like, I'm really looking for, even if like it's the most perfect thing and we've thought through everything, like what is the one thing that you'd love to like push? I don't know. Like, not saying like I want your stamp, director stamp on everything, but I do want, if we're partnering, if we're bringing on a director, like I want you to just push on what we have.
Dig
So that's also something. Like when I get a treatment back and I'm like, it's like just what we told them. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like that is kind of underwhelming. Yeah, when you just
It's
get
a
back.
bit underwhelming. I mean, yes, it's great. Like it's not to say that I haven't gone with a director like that because it also just made sense and whatever. But yeah, just
Mhm. And has it ever been where like the call went really well, but the treatment, a
yeah.
different director's treatment was like out of this world, or vice versa, where the call went terribly, but then their treatment was amazing. So maybe like in between the like giving good phone to writing, there's kind of this like, whoa, this is a whole new side of the person I didn't.
I mean, 1000%. That's
Okay,
why
okay.
it's like it is, you have to give good phone and good deck.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I mean, it's so true. We've had wonderful conversations with people who I'm like, oh my God, they get it, they're awesome. And then we'll get the treatment back and I'm like, what is this? This is either not what we talked about, or it's super complicated, or it's just like, I don't know. Another thing that's so hard, I think, for the treatment specifically process is like finding the right swipe. Like if you don't nail this, like at least the tone of the references, then the treatment just feels so off. That said, if the words are right and if, the phone was good, then like we can work together and like find I mean, I've done that before too. Like been like, okay, well, we really want to sell this director in. Like, we don't have any time. Let's swap in some different swipe for them and like let's take out this page and whatever. But it's so hard. I
Yeah.
know it's so hard. But it's just like that has been a deterrent for work.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that now there's more like resources out there to just
Yes.
I can search like there's shot deck and there's frame set and there's these things because rather than just before in the very beginning when I would be like search scouring the internet. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
just like
it's
such a like,
so hard.
you
Yeah.
know, but now it's really refined, like just talking about like optimizing and refining the process to like get, yeah, because to me it feels like the treatment should look like the final spot in a lot of ways. Like it should feel like emulated. So you're kind of like previewing it, and it's kind of it's fun because you can immediately feel like, okay, this is I see it now. Like I
Yeah.
see it. But yeah, that's a really good thing to mention because I don't think I coming from photography, I have such an obsession about that. And so when
Yeah.
I give it to designers to help make it happen, I really do need, they're almost like you're so high maintenance, but like, you know, writer directors are like, don't care about the swipe as much. And I'm like,
It's
I,
so
it's
important.
so
I
important
know.
to me. So even like the sequencing of it, I'm like, no, this has to go at the
Yeah.
front, this goes at the
Yeah.
back, whatever.
No, I mean, it's so true. And I think that also it's like a residual effect for me working at Red Antler for so long and like
Oh yeah.
that it being so visual. But I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
if this looks like shit and I'm gonna be like, this looks dusty. I don't know about
Cobwebs.
cobwebs.
Um, Actually, you mentioned something that was like a great segue to when you kind of review the treatments and then you and your team get aligned, how do you go into presenting that director? It sounds like you maybe take a couple pages, maybe you even adjust those to just in order to kind of put the best person forward. And are you just putting one person forward? Are you showing multiple, or are the clients expecting to see like a full presentation of like everybody?
Again, it depends on the client. Some clients have you need to triple bid, and so they need to see you at least need to present two options and then have like a third in the appendix kind of thing.
Hmm.
Sometimes we will, ask, well, other clients that are like, okay, we just want to see your reco and that's it. I try to mitigate the amount of back and forth between the director and us during the treatment phase. Like, I don't want you to do rounds and rounds and rounds of updates on your treatment just because you've done so much work already to get the treatment in a good spot. So if we say like we get your treatment, we want to reco you, we will. I mean, we actually do present most of it.
Yeah.
So we present most of the treatment. We won't go into detail, but we'll like give level, like, this is what they thought about lighting, this is what they thought about blah blah blah, and then obviously, so we'll put our reco first, then we'll do high level on the backup because the backup option is also something, we love this person, but for XYZ, like we are recoing this person. We will send both treatments to the client for them to kind of digest and read through themselves. But a lot of time, I mean, most of the time, like we're able to sell in our reco on the phone. And like,
Mhm.
because we've kind of done our due diligence and we're like, no, they get it, and the brand team feels good. I like giving two options because clients love saying no to one option. Like it's just like a weird, psychological thing. Yeah. So I love at least sharing two options if we have two really, solid options. But again, yeah, we try and include as much of the treatment, just, that like is necessary to tell that story.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's good to know because, and I've mentioned this before, but I always am wondering who's on the receiving end. Like, is it a client that's reading it? So I'm always like, who am I talking to? Should I be more careful with the words in that respect, or am I just talking to the creatives? So I'm constantly going back and forth. But now I just kind of ambiguously, yeah,
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
like leave it ambiguous. Who
Yeah.
knows who's going to get their hands on this? It could be
Yeah.
like the head of marketing or something at the
Exactly.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there moving into sort of like do's and don'ts? Because I feel like you probably have quite a few, but just from experience, it's good for people to know when they like epically fail. Like it's good to know because when I started out, I was doing, even to the degree of like pulling a logo but not realizing it was like slightly outdated and just like those nuances that are just like and you kind of, yeah, you have to do like your homework. But I think for emerging directors or photographers or people that are like trying to understand this pitch process that isn't
Yes.
very clear a lot of times, what are the like, don't do this, do this? Like, is there any high level things that you would give advice to
I
for
mean,
yeah.
definitely pull the right logos. Ask the executive producer that you're working with to like give you, give you
Yeah.
some assets.
Yeah.
We have all of that, so please
Right.
ask if they haven't sent. Proofreading. So
Oh,
that's another thing that like is so simple, but I know that, treatments are kind of like putting them together to like and getting words on the page as fast as possible. But like that's like just proofread the decks. Make sure that
yeah.
there are no typos and glare and like whatever Snickers is misspelled to Snuckers. Like don't misspell don't misspell names of brands. And then yeah, like check the swipe. Like those, I mean it's just see if you can like even when you're talking to the creative team like they hopefully have given you a director's deck that has their like a mood board and whatever like really look at that mood board and see okay how can I find other things that make this that feel adjacent to the mood board or how can I like make this mood board even better kind of thing. That's important. Yes.
Do you think it's smart to be aware or cognizant? Like, I think it seems obvious, but I have been in situations where it's kind of difficult, but not showing competitor products would be
I
obvious.
mean, yes, that seems like an obvious thing too. Like, okay, we're doing, a Nike spot, like don't
Oh my
have
gosh.
Adidas shoes everywhere. Like, or I mean, I think that like if you have a specific shot and it has something in it, like it's fine if
Yeah.
it's actually there for a reason or a purpose, like it's like this lighting or whatever,
Hmm.
or set design or whatever. But yeah,
Hmm.
try not to, put
Yeah.
I yeah, try not to. I mean, that's more also for the client. Like
Yeah.
creatives are more open. They're like, cool, we get that, but like a client will see it and be like, that's probably a page I would remove.
Right, right, yeah. Because I've been in the situation where like I did a peanut butter like Skippy campaign, and then I realized when I wanted to have a food page that I was pulling only because it was about like the texture of the product. So I started to think like if I pull a close up without any like GIF branding, but if it's a different texture, would the client be able to tell like by the color? And I was like,
I mean,
I'm just
I
gonna
think
risk it. Like, I don't know. We're gonna
that's
get into that.
fine. Like I think that's fine. Or yeah, I don't like we don't get that. It's more like, logos and
Yeah,
it's
more
more
obvious.
clearly like ripping the competition off.
Mm.
Why are we doing the same thing that
Oh
a
my God.
competitor did?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. Um, I actually have a curveball because people keep asking me this, and I think it's more, this is like an overarching industry question. This is more for the agency producers, I think, and it's been
Yeah.
kind of percolating. But for on our side, there's been a lot of talk of like, can these pitches get paid for or get funded? And I don't even think that you are aware as a creative. You're just, you're like, we need to do this. So, I'm sure you would say yes, but is there an awareness that like a smaller production company that maybe doesn't have all the resources compared to like a big production company that kind of makes these super beautiful decks, like does that also sway your decision when maybe they have a whole team and then this smaller shop like doesn't have a whole team? Because I think that doesn't give it an equal playing field
Yeah.
in terms of like how much they can invest in the treatment. And that to me feels like underrepresented talent and those things is, it's just something that we've been talking about and figuring out if there's like a path forward to compensation, or even like childcare for people, just like something like that. So I don't know. What
I
are your thoughts?
mean, hey, I think people should, yeah, I think if we could pay everyone,
Yeah.
we should pay everyone. I mean, it could be something that is built into our kind of out-of-pocket costs, right? It's like, oh, initial treatment, like whatever, $7,000. And it's, we're giving 2,500 bucks to three people, or I don't know math. But you know what I mean? Like Maybe. I mean, it's a problem. It's a rampant problem across creative agencies too, of like of investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in pitches and then like just losing and then you don't recoup that. So, but I think there could be a path forward. I think like production companies just kind of need to make a stand. I don't know. I mean, I also think maybe there's a way to say what you need to say without having to put so much effort and slide. Like sometimes I'll get a treatment and it's like 60 slides and I'm like, whoa, this is so intense.
Yeah.
So maybe there's also something like that, right? It's like, oh, well, we really like you. We had a good phone. Uh, and but it's like, but you don't have resources. Like, let us know. And it's like, we just want to know, like, what is your point of view on XYZ? And could you, give us like a baby treatment, like a 3 slide kind of thing. I'm open to doing that, and I especially if it means working with underrepresented or emerging talent. I mean, I'm not supposed to say this, I guess, but like it's just like it's still such a white dudes club of directors out there. So, yeah, any way to help level the playing field, I'm open to, but again, I feel like it would mean that bigger production companies would have to like take a stand, in
Yeah.
order to just make it like okay, this is the status quo. Like this is what's
Yeah.
happening. And when you bid a job, like you have to include $10,000 for the treatment phase or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. I think it's a modest amount, but I understand too. Yeah, it's interesting to hear that when you guys are pitching for clients,
Yeah.
but I think the scale of the company is definitely different.
I mean, like
But
Amazon is, this is a totally different beast. But like when
yeah.
we are, like 2 agencies ago or whatever, yeah, we would invest so much time and energy into these new business pitches and
Mhm.
like massive amounts of pitch theater and
Oh,
hours
yeah.
spent. And then if we lost, it was just like we lost and people got fired. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's why like the agency model is just, that's a whole other podcast.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, going back to actually, we didn't touch on this, so it's really interesting to hear the length of treatments and then maybe feeling
Yeah.
like they've gotten out of hand in a way. And in your perspective, like, does it, it's not, is it better if it's longer or is it better if it's shorter or if it's just, I'm sure you want it to be concise because you don't have time to read like 60
I want it
pages.
to be concise. I want it to be as long as you need to tell the story that you want me to like
Yeah.
leave, that you want
Yeah.
to leave behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does not, you don't get extra points for being long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you can sort of separate the bells and whistles? I mean, it's always nice to have like a really well-designed treatment that you're super
Yes.
proud of. When resources are low, do you feel like that dings people when maybe they don't have the treatment designer or all of those things? Or, do the ideas resonate in a way that can kind of put that aside? Like it doesn't matter how shiny this looks, there's nothing there kind of thing.
I mean, I think it's the latter. Yeah. Like you can make if the deck design is beautiful, that's awesome. But if the contents are lacking, like they're lacking,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that there are so many great resources to create like a easy deck template. Like,
Yeah,
like you
totally.
can, so as long as you have you're like putting your thoughts together in a concise, coherent, clear way. You've spell checked. You insert some references that like build on what we have going. Like then you're in a
Mhm.
good spot. Like I don't. I mean, yes, of course. Like seeing this beautiful deck is amazing, but really, I'm looking at the substance. I'm looking at like what are they at? What are you saying? Um, what are you saying and do I understand what you're saying? That's another thing too of like, okay, I want you to put your stamp on our project, but also if your stamp is very complicated and I don't understand it, that is a deterrent for me as well. I'm like, This is
Like kind
just
of
me.
like the writing tone of voice. If it's just like convoluted, using a lot of big words for no reason, you're like, just talk to
Yes.
me like a person.
Just talk to me like a person. And
Yeah.
even like, I don't know, filming techniques too. If like if you're all about this specific lens and I'm like, that's cool. But then like it seems like it's confusing the story. And we're like mostly excited to use this lens, but like what are we doing? I don't know. Like
Yeah.
also stepping out of yourself as a filmmaker and being like, okay, well, we need to this is what we need to do and communicate. How can we communicate that in a beautiful, effective way? And maybe we could use a lens like this for a shot or two, but don't go crazy. Yeah. I don't want
Yeah.
to like fisheye everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I don't know if there's any like last thoughts that I haven't, any questions I haven't asked that you want to share, or maybe even, what was like the something exciting recently that you worked on that you're really proud of, which could be the Cheetos Duster, but I don't know. There might be others.
I mean,
Like
Cheeto Stuff
last,
was great. Last
yeah.
words. I mean, last words for the treatment and like director phase two. Like, be yourself. If you have an illustrator background, like, and you want to
Mhm.
throw in some drawings or whatever, like,
Yeah.
add those. If you want to, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm looking for, yeah, again, your point of view. And I want this to be, part of, you know, kind of who you are too. Like we just
Yeah.
a current project that we're working on. It's for dog food. And the director we went with, like kind of opened and closed his treatment with photos of him and his dog. Like he loved his dog.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
simple, very, but to show that kind of resonate with this audience or resonate with this
Yeah.
product. That's important. We're creating a bunch of spots with this director for this brand, and it is a bit of a learning experience in the production, in the execution. It was all filmed on blue screen, so we're kind of building the set, which has given us a lot of flexibility, but the client is very
Can't imagine.
yeah, I can't imagine it. So
Yeah.
that's the current project that I'm trying to navigate. But
Yeah.
cool,
Wow.
it's gonna be out in a couple months and it comes with this very cool techie thing that I can't really talk about right now. But
Ooh, of
it
course.
uses
Yeah.
AI and
Oh my God.
oh my
Dogs and
God.
I. Wait, what's happening?
Oh my God. I know
I
exactly.
can't even wait. That sounds,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever comes out of your brain is always brilliant. So
Oh.
really excited to see that. And good luck with the post on that. I'm sure you'll get there as always.
We will get
Um,
there. We will get
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us. This was so insightful. Really love just your vibe, your energy, your openness to giving a lot of insights. Yes, 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 yes. And yeah, congrats on all of the success you've had, and definitely hope to hear from you soon. And yeah, people can find you, Sarah Betts, I'm sure, on LinkedIn, or if there's any comedy directors listening, to, I'm sure, maybe reach out there, share their work with you.
Yeah,
That's kind of
please.
the niche it sounds like that you're kind of always
Make me laugh.
spending time in. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Treatment Forum. Share this with anyone you think could find these insightful conversations useful to growing their career. Please subscribe and write a review to help this resource get into the ears of the right people. If you are interested in learning more about mastering your pitches, visit winningdirectortreatments.com, where I offer a free consult to answer any questions about the course. You can reach me directly on my website and Instagram at archerstudio.co. Excelling at your craft is just the first step, but your success lies in your ability to clearly and succinctly articulate your vision.